Hello everybody, Mannix here. Got a little knife review for you right here, right now. Feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos. This is going to be on one of the 3 Ozark Trail knives that came in the 6-piece combo set they were selling late 2023 at Walmart. It was this knife, a knife very similar to this one with a gray handle with an assisted drop point style blade, and then a blue handled shaft lock blade which was shaped more like a sheep's foot. So this is one of the 3 knives in the set, amongst the 3 other freebie goodies they threw in that thing, and it was $15 total. So if you're just looking at these 3 knives, you could argue it's like each knife is $5 a piece, but if you're taking the other 3 items they threw into account, you could argue it's a little less than that. A little under $5 would be, I guess, the total value of this knife. So right off the bat, excellent deal. The one that set this one apart from the other 2 was the fact that this one's advertised to have the ball bearing tracks in there. So not regular washers on this bad boy, folks. Ball bearings. Smoother than the other 2. Pretty smooth action on this guy. It's not like as smooth as most more expensive ball bearing knives are, but it's still better than most even more expensive knives that just have regular phosphorus bronze or whatever kinds of washers. A little bit smoother. Nice smooth deployment. Really good action. Flicks out, locks open every time. You can open it conventionally. It's not assisted. Completely manual. Liner lock. Polypropylene handle. Blade steel is somewhat of a mystery. Most people argue it's either a 3CR13 or maybe a 440A, somewhere around that softness. It's soft, it's kind of a cheaper steel, but the heat treatment on this guy is pretty good. Actually has a pretty razor sharp edge out of the box. Stonewash finish on this Tanto blade. Dual thumb studs, cylindrical, nice and rounded at the edges. Pretty reminiscent of a Benchmade Griptilian knife. Kind of looks like that. The handle shape kind of looks like that. I like this pattern they have right here. It almost feels like it's rubberized. It's not. It's just simple polypropylene handle scales, flush-mounted stainless steel liners in there, not skeletonized. Tip-down right-hand carry only. At least it's a loop-over pocket clip, and at least it's a good pocket clip. The tension's on it's perfect. It's not bad looking. It's just okay. I mean, it's kind of phallic looking, but I've seen this pocket clip on many knives over the years. Whatever, it works fine. Not a whole lot's going to be showing out of your pocket there. 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle, 7 inches in overall length. Let's just weigh this sucker right here. Let's take a guess. I'm going to say 2.62 ounces. 2.76 ounces, just under 3 ounces. Not bad at all for a 3-inch blade and less than a 3-ounce knife. If you're watching your weight on folders, this is a very excellent lightweight one to have. Pretty hand-filling handle overall here too. It's nice and rounded. It's comfortable. I like this big, deep finger choil we have right here. The flipper helps accommodate that. It's not jimped. The liner is, obviously, but not the flipper. No jimping anywhere else on the knife. Kind of wish there was something there, but not a big deal. If you're not familiar, polypropylene is known as the steel of plastics. Very hard plastic, but it's still not nearly as hard or strong as FRN, GFN, Zytel, Zyx, whatever brand or whatever name you want to give it, the glass and plastic polymer infusion. It's not as strong as that. It's basically just the plastic part, but no glass mixed within it. But it's still hard. It's a very hard, strong plastic. But its strength is going to be around a third to maybe a half as good as FRN, GFN, etc. Still, for handle scales on a folding knife, totally fine, not a big deal. And the scales are accompanied by flush-mounted stainless steel liners. It flexes a little bit, but it's durable enough, sturdy enough, so that's totally fine, not a big deal. Even under really hard use, I don't see these cracking anytime. I haven't seen them crack or break. I've never heard anything like that happening. If you're trying to destroy the knife, if you're doing a destruction test or something, yeah, sure, you might have some problems, but in even really hard circumstances, I don't see the handle scales being an issue whatsoever, so polypropylene is a-okay for this knife. It does feel a little cheap. It feels almost like it's hollow plastic, but because it's just such a thin, flimsy material in comparison to what else we have out there, it just feels cheap. A little bit cheaper than the Benchmade Griptilian line does, and that's why it's not FRN. It's polypropylene. If I had to guess, that's where that's coming from. I would call it a medium-sized folder. You can get a full-size grip on here. It's nice and comfortable. I like the ergonomics on it. Hand-filling. Carries nicely. No issues there. It's nice and lightweight. Very good deployment. A+ on that. Flicks out every single time. Get over it conventionally. Love this blade shape. I'm a huge sucker for Tantos. I think it's beautiful. And it's stonewashed, which is a nice touch. Pocket clip is also stonewashed. Again, decent blade still overall, whatever their heat treatment they do to these things. Not bad at all. nice and sharp. Doesn't retain an edge very long, as you'd imagine, but you can keep this stropped, and resharpening it doesn't take very long either, so not a big issue there. So for a sub $5 knife, you absolutely cannot go wrong with this thing. Lockup is rock solid too. There's absolutely no up and down. There's no side to side anymore. I think there was a hair of side to side when I opened it out of the package, like most knives just have, but I cranked that out. And because it's a ball bearing track knife, you can really get this thing nice and tight without too much of a tension increase. It actually still opens up relatively smooth regardless because of that ball bearing track. One of the many reasons I really like ball bearing washers on folding knives. The liner lock is a little bit sticky. It's broken in a little bit ever since I got it, but sometimes when I open it slowly, it does not engage. I was able to close this knife without even disengaging the locking mechanism there. Still has to be broken in. It has a sticky liner lock. Over time, that should start grinding away enough where it no longer sticks. The advantage to a sticky liner lock, though, is that once it's crammed in there, it's arguably stronger than a regular liner lock because you had to physically force it in to get it to lock. Not a big deal, though. Again, for less than $5, really solid. And it could just be this knife. I didn't try multiples of this model, so maybe yours will not have a sticky liner. I don't know. But again, let's just say this was $4, taking everything into consideration. Really solid $4 knife. Good enough blade steel. I like the finish on it. It's not bad looking. Very comfortable, very versatile, really good lockup despite the lock stick. At least it's not a loose lockup. Carries well, although I do kind of wish it was tip up. It would be nice if the pocket clip was swappable to the left side, but oh well. The only real disadvantage is I can think of this knife feels kind of cheap as far as that polypropylene handle scale is concerned. It's not tip up, it's not ambidextrous, and this one in particular happens to have a sticky liner, which may or may not be a bad thing, and it may just be a consistency issue, which is another problem with cheaper price tags, but I don't really care that much that it doesn't have jimping. It's actually okay, I think, because the handle's nice and hand-filling. I don't really care that much. I'm not really missing it that much on this knife for whatever reason, although it would have been a nice touch, but yeah, I'm a huge fan. It's actually a fantastic folder for its price point. Just like a lot of the Ozark Trails coming out lately, I'm very impressed with this sucker. I do kind of wish the flipper was jimped, though. Sometimes I do kind of slip on that, but can't really complain too much for the price point. So outstanding, fantastic knife for this price point. There you go. That is this Ozark Trail, which I don't even think has a name. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think of this knife if you have it? Have you been impressed with the stuff Ozark Trail has been coming out lately, or do you think it's just junk? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.